Welcome everyone. Today we will teach you how to install Microsoft Windows 98. First is to boot your PC in a device where your OS are stored. And for this instance, my OS is stored in my CD-ROM. Wait for the screen to load or to scan until this blue screen appeared. You can press the F5 to remove the blue color, select Configure Unallocated Disk Space, and to select the Yes Enable Large Disk Support. This will allow you to optimize and to maximize your space during the installation and during the usage of the Microsoft Windows 98. So as you can see, our PC restart and it's normal during the installation process. It will restart repeatedly, and while it restarts, you can start it or boot it using the same process we do in our first step. So let's just wait until the formatting is completed, and then we can now press enter. So well done! This is where the main installation happened. Let's just click continue and wait for it to load. Then select the C Windows or the default and click next and wait for it to load. Then select the typical setup option as it is the most recommended, and click next and install the most common component. After it, configure your computer name, work group, and computer description. After configuring the identification of your computer, you can now establish your location. After establishing your location, you can now click next and start copying files. This will take a while, depends on your performance of your computer. The installation process of Windows 98 is not that complex as it has a guide, instruction, and steps in order to install it properly. While waiting, here's a fact for Windows 98. Windows 98 was the first version of Windows to offer built-in support for USB devices. It also has the active desktop, in which allowed user to customize their desktop with the web content and interactive elements. After it loads, it will suggest to restart your PC, and you can restart it immediately by clicking the button. And now, the OS will start asking your name and your company name. Let's click the I accept agreement and click next. Now, to legally install this Windows OS, you need a Windows product key. You can acquire the Windows product key from the store or the manufacturer of your Windows OS. After inputting your keys, click next and wait for it to load. Wait for it to process until it suggests to restart. Click the restart button to restart your computer immediately. After it restarts, this is where you will configure the settings of your computer, including the time, the settings, and etc. After it, the computer will ask you once again to restart your computer, and you can click the button to immediately restart your PC. After that, you can optionally give a password or put a password to your computer, and also the username is a required field. Congrats! You successfully installed Windows 98. You can now explore its feature or its new feature, including the old ways of how to navigate the computer and its accessories and other fun stuff. With that, this is where the tutorial ends, and you can now enjoy using Windows 98. So, to further discuss what are the idea or the key features behind Windows 98, here are my members to discuss more on about this OS.
An operating system is a software that manages computer hardware and provides common services for computer programs. It acts as an intermediary between user applications and the computer hardware, handling tasks such as memory management, process management, file management, and device management. You need to install an operating system on your computer to make it usable. Without an operating system, your computer wouldn't know how to allocate resources, run programs, or interact with the peripherals like keyboards and monitors.
First off, installing an operating system requires an installation module. So this usually involves a CD or a USB flash drive. And nowadays, we're usually more on USB flash drive, especially if it's sufficient enough to handle an operating system. So once you have done that, you're going to need to boot up your computer, which requires you to restart it and open up a boot menu when you're opening it again. This usually requires you to press a specific key on your keyboard. This mostly F12 or delete. And once you've done that, you'll be guided to a setup process where you need to accept license terms and choose the files you want. And after that, your system will ask you to make an installer and copy those files for you and set the operating system on your computer. So in our case, we are using Windows 98 as our main operating system for this lesson, and it follows a same procedure. So the next question is, what are the common operating systems for installation? So this may differ on your preferences. Nowadays, we are more on using Windows made by Microsoft. This is usually on Windows 10 or Windows 11, the newer version. So they are more prominent in the market and more used than any operating systems. And the next one here is the Mac OS. This is for the Apple users or MacBook users, and this is usually on par with Windows, and they are probably more secure, but they have some limitations there. And if you want some more customizable or configurable, then go for Linux, they have Linux. They have Ubuntu, Debian, and Fedora, where they have all some strengths and weaknesses. And usually, if you're choosing these operating systems, they are usually suited for different tasks.
Yes, you can definitely install multiple operating systems on one computer. This is commonly done through a process called dual booting, where you can choose which operating system to boot into when you start up your computer. It is highly recommended to back up your data before installing a new operating system, especially if you're planning to overwrite the existing one. Installing a new operating system often involves formatting the disk or partition, which will erase all the data on it.
So, what hardware requirements should I or we consider before installing an operating system? So, before installing an operating system, it's important to make sure that you have the hardware compatibility on your computer. So, this requires you to check for your processor speeds, the amount of RAM you have, and the hard disk space you have. It is also important to note that some operating systems may struggle, so you're going to need a specific graphics card or graphics driver or another hardware. And you can usually find this on websites where each operating system does have its own hardware that will be required, and this is also applied on all of your input or output devices or peripherals. So to make sure if your setup is compatible on that operating system. So it's important to note that. So if you encounter some problems during the installation process, you're going to need to note the error. And once you've done that, some errors are easily be done by moving some files there or anything. So the first step is to note that error, and some errors are easily to be managed, and they can all be and some of them can give you a clue about how to manage them. But if the error persists, you can always consult or check the official documentation, like on the Microsoft website, to see if you can follow the steps there and fix that error. And if that didn't work, you can always check for YouTube videos or online forums to see if they have the similar problems and check for them if they have the solution to fix that problem. And with a bit of systematic and patience, you can always try it until you fix that error. And with a bit of persistence too, you can always see that most problems can be easily resolved. So that's it.
Yes, you can often upgrade an operating system without reinstalling it. Operating system vendors typically provide upgrade paths that allow you to move from one version to another while preserving your files, settings, and applications. However, it is still a good idea to back up your data before performing an upgrade, just in case something goes wrong. Yes, it's possible to reinstall the operating system if needed. Reinstalling the operating system can be necessary in situations where the system becomes unstable or corrupted beyond repair. It typically involves booting from installation media such as DVD or USB drive, and following the prompts to reinstall the OS. Again, it's important to back up your data before installing the OS to avoid losing any important